Everyone wants a better intake department. Everyone knows that getting a better intake department is the real leverage in today's high-stakes legal game. That's why we wrote our book, A Six Sigma Approach to Front-End Intake. That's why Opus Intake Solution exists, in order to make your intake department a better intake department. Now, a total equality approach means that the client's needs come first. Here are the three key elements we're going to talk about today. The first is empathy with the client and their situation. The second is really listening to the client actively. And the third is really getting the client's story and recording that. Let's talk about empathy. When we wrote our book and sent it to the editor, they commented at one point that we had used the word empathy 53 times, and we might want to change that. Well, our reaction was no, that's exactly what we wanted. Empathy is that personality trait that allows humans to identify with the life of another human being. Empathy is the awareness of others' feelings, needs, and concerns. The receptionist at your firm and the intake specialist need to express real empathy for the client's situation in the first minutes of the phone call. Well, how do you show empathy? You show it by letting the caller know that you're sorry for what's happened to them in the very first sentences with them on the phone. People who call into a law firm have a legal problem. You have to express from the very first that you understand their problem and you have the solution for them. The client's needs come first. Make their legal problem the focus of the phone call. Here's a quote that Jay wrote for our book. But even with all the room for error here, the key thing to be aware of is that the initial call is the biggest failure point in the entire level 1 process. And yet 95% of level 1 intake people fail, not because they can't or don't collect the right information. They don't even fail because they input that information incorrectly into the system. They don't fail because they forget to talk about their own firm. Oh no, they get and enter the information just fine, as well as offer whatever information they can about the litigation. The problem is they do all of this at the expense of empathy, listening, and reassuring. Win the battle, lose the war. They get the information, but they lose the war because if the client cannot somehow make contact with that intake specialist, frankly, they're going to go back to their computer and Google and find another law firm that will.